when my brother was 11 years old, we would go to the beach together, and he had already learned how to surf, etc. And on beaches with no lifeguards, and stay all day. Yeah, and like, I would no more let my 11-year-old son go to a beach without a life preserver, or 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 or,
Ooh.
or without lifeguards, and stay all day, then the cow would jump over the moon.
I would let
But
them. I think people are too attached to the lives of their children. Like, think about back. I think, yeah. Just hear me out. So historically speaking, 1,000 years ago, you'd have 25, 35 kids, five of them would live, right? Till like 10, and then two of them would die. You're lucky you have three like adult children, right? That's just how it went. So because we're spoiled with medical science to have the luxury of caring about our kids, I just think we're too soft. I think so. Therefore, we don't give our kids enough chance to take those risks because we're afraid they might die. When in reality, there's a chance your kid's going to die. It just is what it is. So you just need to let go and let them go swim in the fucking ocean
yeah,
and be
so
a
to me,
dude.
what was more remarkable than my parents letting me, and my dad was gone all the time, so it's really my mom letting me do it. But if my dad was home, he wouldn't have cared. Although he did get mad when my brother and I brought home grenades. And
Yeah, that's a little over the line, I guess. Were they active?
uh, well, yeah, they were surplus World War II grenades. So back in the day, the the anti-aircraft installations still existed in the forests and the jungles in Hawaii when I was a kid. And my brother and I would go. My brother and I would go through and it's literally jungle, right? I mean, it's kind of, you can't really call it a forest. It's a tropical jungle. We would go exploring, and they were made of iron. These wrought iron anti-aircraft installations they were round with kind of a domed, pointed top roof on it, all steel, very thick, and we found all kinds of shit in there. We found live grenade. We brought 2 live grenades home, and my mother said, "You idiots! Wait till your father gets home." We brought them. We knew we were smart enough to know not to pull the pins. We'd seen war movies. My dad was a fighter pilot. We were like, "Hey, these are cool. Let's bring them home. Dad will know what to do with them."
Jesus Christ.
When my mom called my dad. My dad came home from the base in his flight suit, and he said, "Boys, I am telling you right now to never, ever, ever touch one of these again. You know what they are, right? Yes, sir. You know not to touch one ever again, right? Yes, sir. I know that you thought you were doing the right thing by bringing it home to me, but if anything had happened with one of these fucking grenades, your mother will never let me live it down. Your mother will never forgive me. If you ever bring grenades home to show me the grenades you got again and blow yourselves up, your mother will never forgive me."
And you know what? I hate to nitpick here, but I don't think the worst thing that can happen with live grenades in the house is your mom not forgiving your dad. I think that there could be worse things that would
Could be
happen.
worse consequences.
Yeah, than that.
Yeah.
Josh, what's up? He started recording already, Mark.
Yeah, I was getting some
You
more
just-
outtakes.
Yeah,
Did you really?
It was
Start
good
recording?
stuff. It was good stuff. Yeah.
I do like that story.
Welcome to Reckoning Brothers, everybody.
Welcome.
Since Josh already started recording. Well,
Mark, if you watched one less John Wayne movie, you would not have an arm. Is the moral of the story right there? You've been like, here, check this out. Let me pull this pin. Boom.
So what I was getting at was, so I was telling Scotty asked me about my vacation, and I told him all the all the beaches I went to, and I went to many, many beaches. The surfing did not go well, Scott. So I want to tell you that at my age, it's tough. I was anyway. So
Who's a lot? What's the
I thought
problem?
you were just I
Huh?
thought you were just faking surfing to pick up dudes because you thought it'd make it easier. And it probably would.
Well,
I mean, a man of your age, I mean, you're a handsome looking older gentleman, but you're still an older gentleman. So I think if you have a surfboard there and you want to get, I mean, the dudes let's be honest, you're looking for 22, 23-year-old men typically. So if you want to try to get that age, I think even just a surfboard as a prop is a wonderful idea. And of course, the dog, of course, is going to help.
I never did anything to your people, and you hurt me like this.
We've discussed this before. You've actually helped my people, and I thank you. And that's why I'm giving you this advice about how to pick up younger
Josh
dudes.
has been drinking. That's not his first drink, and I can tell.
Can you tell? Someone went to Station 1, then we went to the brewery, Mother Stewart's.
I just want to show you guys. I want to show you guys a life hack, and you probably neither of you, since you both have female significant others, will probably never have to do this. But when I run out of napkins, which I never buy, I just buy paper towels. When I run out of paper towels, which I did, and I need something that resembles a paper towel to dry my hands on or to put underneath my drink.
You just, grab a bunch of McDonald's napkins, a coffee filter. Really? That's
Jesus.
a life hack?
It's a life hack.
That's not a life hack. That's desperately looking for something to wipe a spill up with because you're out of shit because you didn't go to the store. That doesn't count as a life hack.
Like in a pinch, you can make.
Wait. He does walk around my house with a napkin wrapped around his drink. Just
Do you know why, Josh?
because you're an imbecile. I don't know why.
Because I don't want to leave I do not want to leave a drink ring on that dining room table you have and get blamed for it. That's why.
You know what? I'm not blaming you there.
You're not going to argue with me on that, are you?
Nope, not.
Still doesn't count as a life hack, though. I got a life hack for you. If your toilet's clogged, you can just go in the shower and take a piss. That's a life hack.
Well,
It's
you can take
along the same
if
lines.
you moisten these, you can make if you moisten these, you can make butt wipes out of them.
Why didn't you? Could have just called it toilet paper, but I like the fact that you used butt wipes.
Scott,
Right.
you know what routine that I haven't done on this broadcast in a while, in several weeks. Does anything come to mind?
Does anything come to mind that you haven't done in a few weeks? It's not get lost in a story from 40 years ago. Definitely done that.
Yes, absolutely. It's not rambling.
Is it my?
Oh no, wait, you have done that every single time. Bitch about some random leftoid on Twitter.
Yeah.
You've done that.
Talked about
Just go through the things you have done.
Now that you've narrowed it
Smoked a
down,
cigarette on camera, had a coughing fit. Yeah, choked on liquor. I'm gonna be honest, I thought that was all that you did on here. So I can't think of it. I'm sorry.
What haven't you done in a long time?
what about my You're So Hot, Scott?
I mean, that's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks, but go ahead.
It's been a while. Scott, I just want to say, Scott, that you look really good today. I like that shirt.
He is pretty hot. I love
Thank
the
you.
bananas.
Scotty,
Thank
You're
you.
So Hot tea bags put you in their teacups. Scotty, You're So Hot it gives me condensation drops on my goatee.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know if I
I
like.
don't know how that works. I
How
don't
did
follow the logic of that one, but it's good.
Scott, You're So Hot your fiance wears oven mitts to undress you. Scotty, s'mores use you to melt their marshmallows. You're so hot, Scott, that your ceiling fan bought a ceiling fan.
These are getting bad. These are getting bad.
Your
Okay.
car overheats when you wear gym shorts.
That was pretty funny. I hate that I'm laughing at these and that I find them funny, but that was good. That was good.
They're like Scott anchored dad jokes. And
Ooh, yeah.
So
They
I
kind
just
of
want to say that every time we do this, when we do it from when I'm here, when I'm not at Josh's doing it, my puppy, come here, can hear Josh's voice, and she sits. Come here, come.
CJ.
And she sits here.
CJ.
She sits there and listens to him because she hears his voice, and she won't go away.
Huh.
CJ puppy. She got a haircut. Show him the haircut.
Well, we did that last week.
Oh, I didn't see it last week.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything in specific that you wanted to talk about, Josh or Mark?
Well,
I always have a litany of AI questions, but the last couple of times that we've done it, it has not worked out as well as I thought it would.
Why do you think that is? Do you think AI's failed you?
I think Mark has failed me.
It is true that he didn't like some of the questions, but I also thought that he had some pretty good answers to the ones that he liked.
He had some good answers, but there was a couple that he went.
That's just that's old man anger, dude. It's going to hit all of us. Like whenever I see Mark and I talk to him, I'm just like ticking time bomb before that, just like that old man anger shit is just going to fucking take over.
Well, I do want to say on a topical matter that I am just so
thus begins the rambling.
It's just so stupid and depressing. So the facility that opened in Florida that they're calling Alligator Alcatraz has been hundreds of thousands of times now compared to a concentration camp, and they're changing the name of it to Alligator Auschwitz. And I just want to say that if you're comparing a holding facility, an air-conditioned holding facility, an air-conditioned barracks that's going to be used to temporarily house people who are scheduled for deportation at the airport that accompanies it, with gassing people and tossing them into ovens, making making lampshades from their skin. Innocent men, women, and children starved to near death. That you're a bad person. You're a bad person if you do that. You're mentally ill, and you're taking a shit. You're taking a gigantic steaming shit on the memory of 11 million people. Go, Josh.
First of all, I thought it was 6 million. Second of all,
look at that. That's not a bad rant, Mark.
That was good, Mark.
That was almost exactly a minute.
It's 6 million Jews. It's 11 million total.
So it has the.
Well, I mean, they sent gays to concentration camps.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gays,
Gypsies.
musicians, judges, lawyers.
Okay.
Gypsies.
You said this is something I've never heard, and I want you to expound on it a little bit. You said lampshades for skins. What was that? I've never heard that before.
They made lampshades.
I don't know what it is, but the
Nazis made lampshades out of human skin.
Yeah, well, it's a really good material for light, like especially Jew skin. But for whatever, if you stretch it like the right length, it lets just the amount. It's like a really wonderful soft glow. Like if you get like a diffused light from like a diffuser, which I forgot to set up, that I use, which otherwise I would show you. Jew skin actually does a better job, and you can't really reproduce it artificially. And believe me, we've tried, but you can only use Jew skin for it. Sorry, Mark.
No, that's fine. I'm just glad that the token Jew is the one that made that.
Okay, I mean that seems like a one-off kind of situation there, right? And you have the bad guy that's the psychotic, that's the jail tender or whatever. But it doesn't seem like something they would like fully set up a manufacturing line for. Can you?
It was not a one-off, and it wasn't on the same scale as pulling people's teeth out to get their gold, and then extracting the gold from the teeth and then melting it down. right? It wasn't on the same scale as removing their hair and making mattresses out of it, but it was on. It wasn't a one-off any more than the surgical mutilating experiments that Mengele did on people without anesthesia. I mean, we're talking about a level of depravity and torture that humankind, certainly in the modern day, has never been seen before, right? And so I just want to say that if you're comparing an ICE facility in Florida to a concentration camp, you're a ghoul. You're taking a shit on the memory of 11 million people who died in the most horrific ways possible, and you're a bad person. You're historically illiterate, and you're a fucking idiot.
Do you think there's a sizable percentage of these people that don't know what really happened in the Holocaust and they're just
Well,
ignorant?
you literally have people with PhDs who are claiming that they're concentration camp experts, and that's all they've ever studied.
Do you
Claiming,
think they just these people? Do you think they're just trying to get clout online, and that they're just so obsessed and they're so online that truth doesn't even matter at this point? It's just scoring points and playing a game that is so far removed from accuracy and truth and facts
I
that
do
they're
believe
not
that
worth paying attention to. They're silly children playing a silly
yeah,
childlike game.
agreed. I do believe there's a sizable percentage of them that don't believe what they're saying any more than they believe that climate change is going to end human life on Earth in the next X number of years. I don't think a lot of them don't believe it, but they use it for politics. They're doing the same thing because of these terrible floods they had in Texas, and they got the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet in 45 minutes, and 50 people have died, and a lot of children, over a dozen children, 20 children, I think. And the perpetually online left is on there blaming it on Donald Trump because of cuts to the National Weather Service that haven't taken effect yet, number one. Number two, the National Weather Service in Texas, in Austin, was extra staffed because of this. They put out warnings 12, 15 hours in advance, flood warnings. The National Weather Service did what it always does, is it warned people about threats of a flash flood, get out. But those people are also taking a shit on dead bodies of people to make a political statement because they hate Donald Trump because they can't get politics out of their fucking mind for 8 seconds.
This is the interesting point. What makes a person that way? A lot of people think it's lack of religion. There's a religion size. There's a spiritual hole that people are filling with politics. The older I get, the more I believe that that's the case. What do you think? Do you think there's any truth to that?
The older I get, the more I believe that's the case too. Politics has become their religion. They're in a bubble cult of just bizarre notions and ideas about that socialism works, that communism's good.
They're in these groups where there's purity spirals. You're not allowed to say anything that doesn't fit the orthodox narrative. It's just silly. It's silly to any rational person on its face. But it's weird, and it's so interesting to me that these groups exist and these people exist, and they're so silly.
And the way a lot of these groups progress further into insanity is really just it's unfathomable. A good example of that is the trans activist community. That and I love my trans colleagues and friends, and I love and respect my intersex family member. So this is not, and by the way, none of them, not a single one of them, believes the one-liners that the activist community believes that like trans women are women, trans men are men. They all believe that only a biological male can become a trans woman, and that biological sex is real.
Just more proof that the progressive left is racist and bigoted at its heart. They can't expect a trans person to actually realize the facts of the world. They can't expect them to be like, hey, look, I'm trans, but biological facts are also real at the same time, even though the majority of trans people do believe that. It's It's ridiculous. I don't know, man. I just don't want to see you get so upset about it that you end up with a fucking in cardiac arrest on Twitter on the toilet. Like I see you dying on the toilet while reading Twitter on your phone, and it'll be just it'll be fucking something that fucking libs of TikTok posted. It'll be some fucking professor at the University of Houston or some shit. That's just like, I think that all 9-year-old boys should get gender reaffirming care. And then you're just going to like fucking lose it.
I really don't.
We can't take it too seriously, though, can we? Well, I've asked you before. What do you think the numbers are? How many? I don't know, man. How many people?
I don't think we can take it seriously enough.
It's a good big percentage, and it makes me feel, Scott. I don't let it affect my. We rant about it. I rant about it because because I do feel strongly about a lot of things, but I don't let it. I don't notice. Who would have guessed? I don't let it affect my life, and when I use phraseology like it's depressing, I don't get depressed by it. Yes, it's annoying, and the second generation of the Department of Education is an extremely annoying group of people. And to return to because I just found it. I mean, trans women are biological women. That's a real quote from a real person with 532,000 people following them. And a lot of people believe that. And no, that's insane, right? I don't wish this person any harm. I wish them nothing but their best life, to live however they want with whatever makes them happy. But if you're
just not a biological woman, if you're a trans woman, you just aren't. Like why can they not? Why is that so beyond the pale to a certain group of people to say? Why are they willing to die on that hill?
Well, because they're in a cult. Once again.
But why is that the cult's goal? A lot of people say that it's Marxism at its heart, and it's destroying American foundations, and it's whatever straws they can grasp at to destroy
if you Google
family and American values,
normalization too.
If you Google Marxist queer theory, you'll get a lot back.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to it, but it also sounds kind of like a conspiracy theory at the same time. So I kind of don't know what to think.
Oh, they're immersed in conspiracy theories. I mean, they literally believe that, that a holding facility in Florida is a concentration camp. They believe that men can have babies and periods. They believe they believe that all homeless people have jobs and got kicked out onto the street by a landlord, and they all go to work and they're all contributing members of society.
I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it to you before, Mark, but I think there's a pie chart of homelessness, and there are two things on it: drug use and crazy.
That's it.
And it's just a matter of what percentage of that.
You will always find it. CBS News will find it, or Politico, or any left-leaning news organization will find the anomalous case of a person who had a job, lost their job, couldn't find another job, got kicked out of their apartment, and is living in their car.
They're out there. Yeah. They're out there, but they're there temporarily.
Say 48% and 48%, and the 2% remaining would be the people that had, hard.
They're probably going to be there temporarily. They're not going to be there
for years and years. I'm an editor. I've done my research on this. When reporters have asked me for, to help them with a story about homeless people in San Francisco, and they have, I'll do my due diligence and I'll do the research, and I will go to Google Maps or whatever, and I will Google homeless shelters in San Francisco and within a certain radius, and I will count how many of them there are, and then I will call every one of them and find out if they've been full any night this month, and they will all say no. So when somebody tells me that all homeless people deserve to have a home built for them by the taxpayer, right? You're telling me that that your intellect is so shallow and so malfunctioning to a great degree. Of course, a drug addict or a crazy person or a person with mental health issues can't take care of themselves if you just build them a house and let them in there, right? Are we also supposed to pay for them to buy groceries and, water bills, electric bills, Wi-Fi bills?
I do like the idea of there being a path to normalcy for these people. Reason did a story about this guy who made tiny homes for about, it was like $750 to $1,000. This is probably 10 years ago for homeless people. A little chemical toilet in there. It's a little house, can be moved around.
Yeah.
Gives them some dignity, a place to live. $1,000. Right. So
story.
There's 76,000 homeless people or something like that in Southern California. You give each one of them, what's 76,000 times 1,000?
7.6 million.
I don't have to look it up. I'm not doing anything right now. $76 million. You get everybody a house for $76 million, which is way less than what California's spending. I don't hate that idea compared to other things.
California spent $20 billion.
Exactly. So
Right.
if you, LA County alone spent $2 billion. Over the course of what was it, 5 years?
It's up to $3 billion now. Well,
But
and obviously, anybody with with genuine compassion wants people to get the help they need. The reason why the homeless shelters are not full isn't because there aren't enough homeless people. It's because most homeless people don't want to live by the rules that all.
Exactly.
That's it.
They want to do drugs or they want to be crazy or they want to be out there.
Yeah, they're voluntarily homeless. They don't have a roof over their head because that's what they want. And
all I'm saying though is if you have something like that, some kind of outside the box thinking like, okay, we're going to give a house. We're going to give you a chance. We're going to give you a chance. And let's say 10% of people, are able to keep their little house and work their way up. I don't hate that idea, man. I don't.
I agree with that, and it's
to do 10% is worth it.
I agree with that, and I'll also agree with the people who would disagree with it, who would say that a community like that would look like a fucking war zone in about 3 weeks.
Of course it would, but of course it would, but and that's a whole nother challenge, right? Like where do you put these houses and all that stuff? And it would also have to start with community will and police being able to arrest and, just get rid of somebody who's sleeping on the street. Okay, so it's not realistic.
We've been going through here in our neighborhood. We have a 236 acre park that's right next to us. I think I've talked to you about it, Scott. There was about like 200 homeless people living there, and it was a shantyville. It was a Hooverville, and it was tents lined up, trash everywhere. It was mental illness farm, right? Yeah. You had water bottles, trash cans, trash bags, just everything. It was disgusting. And the city came in and said, "You're done. You're kicked out of the park. You're done." And they just started bulldozing shit, and it's been amazing. And it's
what you have to do. That'll never happen here because we've got too many just bleeding heart types. It's never going to happen.
LA's got way too many, but in this particular area,
it's the only way. It's the only way to do it. People don't understand.
You to the shelter, you will go there, and that's it. That you will not come back to the park, and it's been amazing transformation.
I'm just saying, I would like to see. Okay, they bulldoze those homeless people. And now here's your shanty town. Here's your shanty town of $1,000 little individual homes. If you can make it, what you're going to have a month trial period here. If you don't fuck up too hard, you can stay here. If you do, you got to go someplace else. And then you have another graduated level of shanty town, halfway decent drug addict crazy people, and there's some kind of avenue. Just because there's no real solution to the homeless problem. If you look into it, they don't want solutions.
Both of you know how much I like old movies, and Scott, you share an affinity for older movies. Josh, not so much. That's fine.
Only Doctor Strangelove, which is my favorite movie, and you often make fun of me for it, which I don't understand why it's a fantastic movie.
Have I ever made fun of you for that?
Yes, you said something, Doctor Strangelove, you're gay, something.
That tracks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what you
and
said.
I'm particularly a fan of film noir, which Scott, I would think you would be too. I'm kind
Yeah,
of
I do. I think Humphrey Bogart is a badass. I think just his whole Sam Spade thing is legit
film
as
noir.
fuck, for
So I
sure.
was watching a film noir movie, and there was they they showed a guy who was up in front of the judge, and he was charged with vagrancy. And the judge goes, $5 or $5 or 30 days in jail, right? Or $15 or 30 days in jail, and he had to go to jail because he was a fucking vagrant. Now, if we did that, if we put people in jail for vagrancy, obviously that's something that worked decades ago, but it's not far. It's not that far from. And the guy was a drunk. He was a homeless drunk, right? Contributing nothing and being a public nuisance and being a public health. When you're pissing on the street, when you're living on the street and taking a shit and spitting and throwing up and coughing and pissing on the street, you're a public health risk. You're putting the public's health at risk. I have said, and people have heard me in this forum before say, I believe that people should be forcibly removed from the street and put into drug rehab and or concentration camp and or
I knew you were going to say it. Just like they have in Florida right now, Nazi concentration camps.
And or a mental health facility, or a jobs program, whatever applies. Whatever applies. In some cases, it's going to be all three. And yes, there will be people that will never be able to hold a job because of their mental health issues. And that's why a lot of people keep, that's why the phrase "bring back the asylums" got so much traction, because insane asylums were for people who were indigent, were mentally ill, were never going to be able to take care of themselves, were never going to get better because their mental illness was so severe, and they put them in insane asylums.
So I ran into two homeless people in the last 24 hours. I was playing frisbee golf with my son, going down through the park. At the end of one of the frisbee golf, there's a guy with a shopping cart sitting on a tree. It's 95 degrees, humidity's horrible. He's under a tree. I understand that, but he's standing there talking to himself. He's yelling, talking to himself. He ain't yelling at us. The other is today.
And he needs help.
He needs help.
He does.
Absolutely.
Obviously, yeah.
The other today, there's picnic shelters that the park rents out for birthday parties or whatever. And 100% kid you not, there's a woman that I saw taking a shit behind it. Needs help.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it's about.
It is. It's about people that can't take care of themselves because they're crazy or drugs.
I think $1,000 house would do it. I think, we talked about 10%. Yeah, absolutely.
$1,000 house isn't going to do it. $1,000 house is just one of many ways that you could have an avenue for people.
Right.
Because not everyone's the same. Some people do have hope. Others don't. Some people could use $1,000 house. Some people could use the asylum, like Mark says. I 100% agree. It just.
I want to track back to the first subject, which was the facility in Florida. So there's a lot of
subject was Jewish skin, but go on.
We got a little sidetracked there.
We did get a little sidetracked.
Do you want to make a last point, and then we can go on to a light question to end? What do you think?
Yeah, which has never happened before. So there's a lot of stuff like this on Twitter from this person has a master's degree, and they're showing pictures of alligators eating people back in the day. Reminder that white people used to feed enslaved black children to Florida alligators as bait to fuel the industry. This practice was so common it was featured blah blah blah, and then comparing that to a holding facility with an airport, and
Ridiculous.
you know, I said to somebody that, I said to somebody that he said, "What when the guards start throwing migrants to the gators?" And so I highlighted that, and I just said, this is mental illness, bro. This is insane. And he goes, stick around. They're also trying to bring back slavery. And he linked to a video of some rando dude on Facebook ranting about how Donald Trump is going to bring back slavery. And it's just, I don't know, man.
I'm glad you got a chance to take your vacation, man. I think you needed it.
Yeah,
You're probably on the phone a little too much. But Josh, do you have a question that's kind of light that we can end it on? Just to
light question, sort of. If the three of us were in power, which one of us would be most likely to get into a political scandal, and what would it be?
Mark. would be I don't want to make the obvious joke that he's going to bang some married dude who's like 21.
Coke and hookers on the beach.
A drug fueled Diddy freak off with lots of baby oil and cocaine.
And
I could see Josh doing it, but I don't see him getting caught. Right?
There you go.
I think he'd do the stuff, but he'd be. I don't think I would do it.
I don't think. Well, I don't think any one of us would get caught in a scandal. You two are just too well behaved. I have become well behaved.
You started this with a story of you bringing home live grenades to your house, so I think you're actually right. You have become more well behaved.
If you two blow yourselves up, your mother's never going to forgive me.
I love that this was his go-to. Like I cannot listen to this woman complain if these kids fucking blow themselves up with these grenades. I just can't do it. I can't do it. It's going to be years of that shit every day. I can't do it.
It would have been a load off my mom's mind had I been the one to blow myself up and not my brother, because Lord God knows what I put her. Well,